Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. It is me and Benji here today. And before we start, we're going to do something that big YouTube channels do, which is, first of all, thank you very much. All of you for the support that we've been having recently. The channel's grown a lot and we really enjoy making the videos. So if you're enjoying them as well, tell your friends and don't forget to subscribe because it helps us out a lot. So yeah, like and subscribe. I'm saying at the start of the video this time, because that's before like 80% of you guys just drop off. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about India versus West Indies, the T20 series that's just finished. We'll chat a little bit about the women's Commonwealth Games tournament. And we'll also have a brief chat about some of the 100 and the 100 highlights. So first of all, we'll kick off. And I'm trying to remember where we left off last game. But I think we haven't talked about the fourth and fifth T20Is between West Indies and India.
We definitely got through the first three T20 games. I mean, India continue to dominate in the T20 and have, well, comfortably, I would say, won this series against West Indies. Both of the fourth and the fifth T20, both of them were pretty dominant performances when they put up a score of 150 plus at, well, more close to 100, well, score of 190, both of them pretty much, and have managed to bowl the West Indies out for over 60 runs. Different people have starred in each game. Rohit and Sky have cemented a really good opening partnership, which I'd actually quite like to see. Rohit Sharma wasn't that badly injured by the looks of it because he was able to play in the fourth T20 after retiring hurt. Rishabh Pant seemed like he had some form and took to pieces that West Indies bowling attack. And then the bowling of India was, again, if one person doesn't succeed, somebody else will. Were you impressed? And of course you are, but Arshdeep Singh, James, what did you think about Arshdeep Singh?
Yes, I'm constantly impressed with him, to be honest. I think his ability to bowl at the death is incredible. And especially in the fourth T20, going at an economy of 3.78 is absolutely outstanding. And he was incredibly good. Picking up 3 wickets, just polishing off the tail, really. And just nailing Yorkers. It is a really difficult delivery to get a hold of. Like, one of the only shots that you can really do is a ramp shot. But that is such a premeditated shot that you can't really react if you're expecting any other delivery. So it's so impressive. He has been brilliant. And yeah, India absolutely smashed him in that first one. Another notable effort in the bowling was Avesh Khan. He's blown a bit hot and cold recently. When he's really good, when he's on song, he's really good. And then when he's having an off day, he's a bit of a waste of space. So I don't know whether India will pick him for the World Cup, because he's somebody that has potential to win you games, but he also has potential to lose them. Whereas Arshdeep Singh has been quite a consistent performer the whole way. So yeah, I don't know what your opinion on one of. I feel like they'll pick one of those two, because especially when they got Bumrah to come back and Mo Shami. I would like to see Arshdeep play in the World Cup.
I think it'll be difficult with those two coming back in because they definitely get spots there. And then I think they definitely, India definitely have to play. I've completely forgotten his name, Chahal. Okay. So you have to have Bumrah, you have to have Shami, you have to have Chahal. If Hardik Pandya plays, he's a bowler. So you've really only got one more seamer to go in there. And I think viable options of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar Avesh Khan and Arshdeep Singh are going to be the three that are really trying to get that spot. I can't see Akshar Patel getting in there. I can't see Ravi Bishnoi potentially either, might struggle, especially when you've got Ashwin, who I think was really good in the first couple of T20. So it's definitely going to be a very strong squad that goes to that World Cup. The final team that India picks, I think they've got a few little options, but I think probably have got a decent core, 7 or 8 players, and they're looking a fearsome, dominant force.
Yeah, because if we just very quickly brush over the 5th T20I as well, India put 188 for 7 up, and they skittled West Indies for 100. So I mean, it was another absolute drubbing, but it was the spinners that absolutely dominated this game. And you mentioned that you wouldn't necessarily pick Akshar Patel, but I think that he is way up there for me because he's bowling very, very well, and he's also batting well. He's kind of proving himself to be a bit of a finisher. He was very good in the IPL, and if we look at, I mean, he only got 9 today, but he hit 6, and yeah, it's. I think India have got a really good problem because they've got so many good players that you could like pick 4 different squads and they'd all be really good. I think, if I looking at some of the comments from last episode, there are people that are mentioning like, well, when Virat Kohli and the rest of them are back, the top order is probably going to look like Rohit, KL, Kohli, and Pant. And then the 5th batsman, they can pick sort of between Suryakumar Yadav and Huda, and then DK the finisher. But then you haven't mentioned Hardik Pandya there. And can you really afford to only play one of Suryakumar Yadav, Deepak Huda, and DK?
There are a few of the players that performed interestingly in the series too. On the West Indies side, I think 2 stood out, one for a good reason, one for a bad reason. Shimron Hetmeyer and Odin Smith. What was your sort of surmising on both of those then, James?
I thought Shimron Hetmeyer, especially in this last T20, was class. If you look at everybody else, nobody else batted above a strike rate of 100. And Shimron Hetmeyer got 56 at a strike rate of 160. So he showed that he was a cut above. He really put his name forward. Not that there's really anybody trying to take his place. So West Indies have kind of got the opposite problem to India. And then Odean Smith is showing that Punjab bought him for completely the wrong reason, because I'd say he actually bowled quite well today. Looking at the rest of the bowlers, he picked up 3 wickets at an economy of 8.25, which for him is one of the cheapest games he's ever bowled. But as a bowling all-rounder, he still doesn't have it. It was another duck today. Bear in mind, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 ducks on the West Indies side. So, he wasn't alone, but he still isn't showing the wherewithal and the ability to use those massive muscles of his and clear ropes. But that's about all there is to say about West Indies. I'd say there are glimmers of hope here and there, but they're not looking like they're going to challenge for this next World Cup anytime soon. Right, let's move on just to kind of skim over the Women's Commonwealth Games, because it's actually been a really entertaining tournament. I've really enjoyed it. Seeing cricket in the Commonwealth Games is excellent. Hopefully they bring the men's game in as well, because I think this was a nice sort of tester just to see if it was going to work. And I think it's been brilliant.
I feel like they'd struggle because in the men's game, there's just the scheduling is so tight. Like a lot of the international players were gearing up for the 100. India have been in West Indies. Like it's just something where you'd struggle to get all the teams together outside of an ICC window.
That's true.
But as expected, the tournament was dominated by India, Australia, England, and New Zealand, who topped their groups quite comfortably. Australia and England being unbeaten in their group stages, and India and New Zealand only losing to Australia and England respectively. So it was, about as expected. And then the semi-finals was interesting. England versus India and Australia versus West Indies. Some would say that the English women threw it away a little bit.
Yeah,
we won't dwell on that a little bit, but that was yesterday's game. What do you think about that?
I thought it was good from India. They held their nerve because I think, was it the 17th and 18th overs only went for 6 runs. So to do that when England basically had it in the bag is outstanding, and all credit goes to the India bowlers there. But yeah, England did throw it away. They absolutely crumbled from being sort of what I thought were almost guaranteed a silver medal. They were playing so well. To then crumble the way they did is such a shame. Australia are just on a next level. They are so good. And I think a lot of it comes from the amount of talent they've got. I think there were, something like 70 or 80 professional cricketers in the women's game in Australia. Bear in mind that England has 30 or 40. There really aren't many. We pale in comparison. So I think English cricket is doing the right thing. They're, in terms of the steps they're making, they're trying to get more professionals into it. But Australia are far and away. They have the most professionals, and it's showing because they are incredible. And then, in India fought very well, got a silver medal. Excellent. Well done. They, definitely deserved it. And New Zealand then come back from getting battered by England before to absolutely battering England. A horrendous game to watch if you're an England fan, but hey ho, it's one of those. And hats off to the New Zealand girls. Right, should we have a little chat about the 100? Because
I actually wanted to talk about the 100 as a segue from what you were saying about the Commonwealth Games, because especially in the Australia, England, and India teams, there's a lot of stars for the women's 100 game. Just in that game, you've got Meg Lanning, who's going to be playing for Trent Rockets. You've got Beth Mooney's in there. I think Rachel Haynes is playing. I think Beth Mooney is with London Spirit, and then you've got Shafali Verma, who will be joining Birmingham Phoenix again this year, and then Harmanpreet Kaur, who I think was one of the best players in last year's 100, who will be rejoining the Manchester Originals this year. So that women's 100, I think, is going to be awesome for that women's game, because it's bringing so many of these great players together in another boiling pot, which there just really isn't that much chance for that to happen currently in the women's game. It's the main women's franchise tournament. I know you have the BBL do something, but I think the 100 is the one where you can really get all the stars together. So I'm really looking forward to that tournament kicking off this Thursday. We're going to talk about the men's tournament because that's already started. And we've already seen some players shining there, really. There's been really good performances from particularly a lot of the Nottinghamshire players, but playing for different teams. So so far, I think all the teams have played now so far. Some heroes. The Oval Invincibles finally got a win today. Welsh Fire aren't looking particularly strong, but there are glimmers of hope in Ben Duckett and Joe Clark, who looked really good today. Adam Zampa, I think, bowled really well. He had an economy of 1.25 runs a ball, which is a fantastic economy off in that format. And then David Miller, coming off the back of the South Africa T20, wasn't able to do it today, but no doubt he's got that class. In other news, Liam Livingstone and Moeen Ali both showed their class again for the Birmingham Phoenix in a losing stand against the Trent Rockets, where Joe Root finally scored a 100 run. Did you see that?
Yes, I was very happy for him because I think he's played, was it 2 games previously in the 100? one innings where he got a golden duck. Yeah, I think I was there for that game, actually. I think I watched it live and I was incredibly disappointed because I think I'd been telling my parents, oh yeah, this is the best guy, best cricketer in the world right now. And then he just pats it straight back to the bowler for a golden duck. So yeah, no, it was good to see him get some runs. Other highlights, Will Jacks for Oval Invincibles today, or as of this podcast being released yesterday, 81 runs off 45 balls when everybody else was struggling. Like, the next highest scorer was Sam Curran, who only managed to get 26 off 23. So an amazing innings from him. And this is the kind of thing we're going to hopefully be looking out for over the course of the 100, is English players that are kind of putting their names forwards to get in that T20 squad for the World Cup. And Will Jacks with his, very well-made 81 today, that's the kind of thing that, England should be looking at and saying, oh, hello, we've got another potential here.
Well, I think Will Jacks is it's funny that you said that, because specifically on him, I think he's definitely one for the future. He's shone so far in his career, very short career for Surrey, but he's a very young guy. And he would just look in class, and he was batting with the experience of Jason Roy, and they do the same job: open the batting and go hard. Yeah, and Roy isn't in the best of form. I think Jason Roy is one of England's best players. I'm still going to say it. He's still one of our best players, and he should be given that instruction to just, play with clarity at the top of that order. But when you've got players like Will Jacks knocking on the door, it's going to be difficult for even people of the class of Jason Roy to keep that spot. But yeah, I think it's only going to create good problems for England. Will Smeed as well is another one that we've not talked about, who's one to surely come through the ranks. But yeah, exciting tournament. We'll be keeping an eye on it, and we'll be giving you updates all the way through the 100. I don't think we're going to be able to get to any of the games. Well, I'm not going to be able to anyway, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we'll definitely be keeping on talking about it.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap it up there. We will be back again soon. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us out. And leave a comment down below. Ooh, before we end, I think we do actually have a Cricket Nerds question that we will do very quickly now. Because obviously, like Benji, guess who it's from?
Oh, is it PD?
Absolutely, it is PD. And he has said, what are your preferences for the composition of a playing 11? For the context of this, I think we're going to say T20. So he said 4 specialist batsmen, 1 wicket-keeper batsman, 1 very decent batsman who can properly bowl. So I guess a batting all-rounder.
Yeah. 1
very good bowler who can bat decently, so a bowling all-rounder, and 4 specialist bowlers. So there we go. That's an interesting one. So we've got 6 specialist batsmen, I guess. And then 1 bowling all-rounder and 4 specialist bowlers. That's basically what we're looking at, with a bowling option as a batsman.
It really depends what you're talking about. If we're talking about our midweek side, then I want as many bowling all-rounders as possible to give us as many options as possible to move people around all over the place, and to get overs if someone's got a bit of tap. In professional game, it's a bit different. I think having batting down to at least number 8 is always beneficial, because if you do lose a few early wickets, then it's important to have a little bit of depth. Generally, you don't get down as far as your 9, 10, 11, so you don't generally need them, but there are games where that's important.
Yeah.
So it's important that everyone can hold a bat, but I think that's a very sensible composition. I think potentially if you have your 7 and your 8 who are bowlers who can hold the bat, one's quite a good batsman, one's not as good as the other one. 3 bowlers who don't need to be able to bat, that's fine. Your wicketkeeper batsman, it's such an important thing now. You can't really have a specialist wicketkeeper. They need to be able to they have to be able to bat as well.
Yeah.
with a batting all-rounder, because then you've got your 2 all-rounders, your batting and bowling all-rounder, who make up that 5th bowler, and then you've got your 4 main bowling options. Yeah, that's how I'd have it in like the professional game. Recreational, you're not always blessed with that amount of availability.
Recreational is how many players can you actually get to play on the day?
You don't have bad knees.
Exactly. Yes.
Brand new crutches.
Yeah, Benji has managed to cripple himself, everybody. So please leave a like for Crippled Benji. Thank you very much for your questions. Leave your Cricket Nerds questions down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod. And you can also listen to our podcasts when we put them up. I think I forgot to put the last one up. Oops. So there. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.